Hi guys, back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing my top 10 Marvel Legends figures. I've never done a top 10 Marvel Legends figure list before. Before I go, just keep in mind that these are just out of the figures that I own, and I do not own very many. Most of the Marvel Legends figures I own are more recent Marvel Legends figures that have been released. And yeah, like I said already, I don't own very many, so the list is obviously very limited in that regard, but they're just my favorites are the ones that I own. I thought I'd share that. First, I'll just do three honorable mentions. First is the more recent Thor Ragnarok Jane Foster Thor figure. A figure I didn't think I just like this figure way more than I ever thought I was going to. I mean, it always looked like a good figure, but I actually like it a lot more. It's been a lot of fun to photograph, to pose, and fool around with. It's one of those figures where you have to get it in hand and sort of play around with it to kind of fully appreciate it. And I mean, the sculpt's just fantastic. Articulation's pretty good for the most part. Accessories are good. It's just a really, really solid Marvel Legends figure. I really do like this a lot. Next one is another really recent one. It's the Man-Thing Wave Punisher from the Netflix series. Again, this is a pretty cool figure. He does have some issues, like he has the single hinged elbows. And whatnot, but the sculpt's really good. He has a really good likeness to the actor, which is really cool. I really like the Punisher logo on his chest armor there. Accessories are nice. Articulation, like, you know, with the downsize is not too bad, and it is a cool figure. It just didn't make the top 10. And then lastly, for the last honorable mention, a figure that I really wanted to put on my top 10, but it just got beat out by one other figure, which I'll mention later. It was a choice between the two of them, and this one just didn't make the cake, even though he's probably my more favorite character of the two. It is the Hobgoblin figure. Hobgoblin's one of my favorite Marvel villains. Don't really know why. I just really like him. Prefer him over Green Goblin. Slightly prefer him over Green Goblin, but I do. I just like his costume better and whatnot. But these are my honorable mentions. There are just a bunch of other figures I just liked more than this figure. But it's still a really, really cool figure. And I really like that they made an upgrade, or an updated one, in the Marvel Legends scale. So yeah, that's the honorable mentions. Let's get on to the actual list. Alright, so number 10 we have the Marvel Civil War, MCU Civil War War Machine figure. This is the single release, which is no different from the 2-pack release, I'm pretty sure, but I got him when he came out on the single release, which is really cool, and I really like this figure a lot. War Machine armor is one of my, if not my favorite sort of Iron Man armor, really. And this is, I think, maybe one of the first times they've really got, in terms of sculpt, the figure right. He has that bulkiness that you'd expect War Machine to have. He's just so much bulkier than other armors and other characters, which makes sense, and it just looks really, really good. The paint apps are also really great. I love the helmet and the paint apps on there and everything. He's got all these printed decals and whatnot, which just looks absolutely awesome. I absolutely love the look of this figure. Articulation's not bad. It's actually better than I expected it to be. And he comes with a bunch of accessories, the little parts, like you can take the machine guns off his arms, put them on his thighs. He comes with the baton thing he uses against Captain America. He also has like a holstered one. You can go in the port there. He has the minigun, which you can articulate around. He also comes with the ported, holstered, I guess, minigun. Just a lot of options with this figure, which is really, really cool, and I really do dig this one a lot. Alright, on to number 9. Next is the Hulk Bath from the Ragnarok wave, which I really like a lot. It's my first, technically official bath that I've ever built up. The Ragnarok wave is the first wave I've ever completed, and this is the first bath I've completed. And it's a really, really cool bath. It was a bath I definitely wanted to build, obviously, or else I wouldn't have bought the whole wave. And it's just such a really cool figure. It's really high on the list. There's just a lot more figures I just prefer over this one, because this guy does have issues. Sculpt's really great. It comes with some cool accessories. I love being in a room with the helmet and all that. Paint's good. It's just in the articulation. The articulation is decent for the most part, but I really wish he had more elbow articulation. And because of like the hammer's so heavy and just some pieces of them are so heavy, it can just kind of, some of the joints just don't really want to hold poses sometimes and whatnot. And because he's so big, it can be irritating to pose him, I guess, to a certain degree. But it's a really awesome figure. Probably one of the best BAFs of the year, so best BAFs in a while. So definitely a really cool one. Anyways, moving on. Next up, we have the Star-Lord, which was released earlier this year. This is the first, the Volume 2, just initial standard release, not the scarfed one or the 2-pack one. And this is a really good version of Star-Lord. It's definitely the best Marvel Legends Star-Lord I think we've gotten. He comes with his elemental guns, which is really cool, and you can put them on his hips there with the pegs there, which is cool. Sculpt's great. Articulation's really good. His head sculpt's really good, and his unmasked head sculpt's probably the best Chris Pratt likeness head sculpt we've gotten from Hasbro so far. So it's just a really well done figure. I absolutely love how this figure looks. Displays really nicely. It's just a solid action figure. Really cool. Move on to the next one. And at number 7, we have Ares from the Ragnarok wave. Again, another Ragnarok figure. We're going to see a decent amount of those figures on this list because I have all of them. They make up a good chunk of my collection, and they're all really good figures for the most part. And this guy's no exception. I really like this figure a lot. It's pretty much just a repaint of a previous BAF that they made years ago, but it's a BAF that's going for a lot of money. And this is, I think, a more accurate looking and better looking repaint, so that's really, really cool. It's just such a cool figure again. Articulation is probably the only spot that really annoys me because they didn't, even though they updated the ankles and gave him rocker joints, they didn't update the hips, and he still has those annoying Y joints, and they didn't update the neck, and he has the, pretty much the ball and peg. He doesn't have the hinge, so he's kind of stuck looking a little down, which kind of sucks, but I love the paint changes. It's awesome. You can remove the helmet. He comes with 3 different weapons. You can store the knife there. You got the axe and the sword, which is super cool. It's just a really solid figure, and I really like it a lot. Looks really cool. Anyways, moving on. At number 6, we have the Netflix Daredevil figure. Daredevil's my favorite of the Marvel TV series. And I've grown to like the character a lot more because of the show, and I absolutely love the design of his costume in the show. And just the character in the show, too. It's just awesome, and I really like this figure a lot. The sculpt's great. Paint apps are pretty good for the most part. He comes with his billy clubs and some interchangeable hands. So he comes with, for the most part, everything you'd really need to. Articulation's great. I mean, it's just a really solid figure. And I'm really happy to finally get some of the Netflix characters into Marvel Legends form. And this is definitely the one I'd want made the most. So this is super cool. Absolutely love this figure. I haven't photographed him much, though, yet. I just haven't had the opportunity to. He's number 6. And at number 5, we have the Green Goblin figure. And yeah, this is the one that took the Hobgoblin spot, pretty much. They use pretty much the same body and for the most part, but this one, while I prefer the Hobgoblin, I just can't deny that this Green Goblin has the better head sculpt. The head sculpt that they put on this guy is absolutely awesome. All the wrinkles and sculpted detail, the teeth and the eyes and the paint apps and the black wash they put over it, it just looks so good that I just can't deny that. So I have to say I do like this figure a bit more. The rest of the figure is pretty much the same for the most part. This one also does come with a better glider because he's easier to just kind of display standing on with a glider. He can just stand while that Hobgoblin can't. And this one's just, this glider is just a bit bigger than the other Hobgoblin's glider, and so this one looks and scales a bit better with the figure. And I just think, yeah, for the most part, this is just a super cool figure. I like all Goblin figures, though. All Goblins, they're all some of my favorite supervillains, so just really like this figure a lot. It's super cool. Alright, moving on. So, big surprise, another Thor Ragnarok figure, and it is Thor himself. And this is a figure I picked up more experimentally, just seeing if I'd actually like it or not, and I like it a lot. I haven't photographed it nearly as much as I'd like to, mainly because I just haven't had, the right settings and whatnot to photograph him in, the right opportunities, but it's such a cool figure. The scale is really nice. He scales nicely. The sculpt's great. Paint apps are awesome. Probably the best Chris Hemsworth head sculpt that Marvel's or Hasbro's done on Marvel Legends MCU Thor figures. So that's really cool. Love the helmet. The sword accessories are super cool. I love those. You can remove the knee armor and you can remove the cloak, which is kind of cool as well, that you can remove parts off them. I think that's cool. And it's just, yeah, just a really solid figure. I can't wait to watch the movie. I can't wait to see Thor in action. So I'm looking forward to that. This is just a super cool figure. Number 3 is my most recent Marvel Legends purchase, and that is the Bullseye figure. This is just such a super cool figure. I'm not even that familiar with the character, just when I researched online pretty much, and it's from the little bit that I have read in comics. It's just such a super cool figure. Just so cool. I believe it uses the Iron Fist body. Don't quote me on that, but either way, he has excellent articulation because he got those butterfly joints and everything. Just absolutely excellent articulation. Sculpt's great. I mean, obviously, the body doesn't have much going on, but the head sculpts, both of them are absolutely super well done. Absolutely love them. So much expression in them, and you can get so much expression out of this figure. And the accessories in general are awesome. It's super cool that he comes with this throwing knife effect, interchangeable hand. That is absolutely awesome. He comes with a handgun you can store on his belt, a knife you can store on his belt, a bunch of different interchangeable hands, and an interchangeable head. It's just such a good figure. It's so well done. I absolutely love this one for sure, and he is my number 3 on my list. Number 2, the runner-up for number 1, which is really hard to put this at number 2, but it is the Thor Ragnarok Marvel's Hela figure. Absolutely love this figure. Extremely photogenic. I've probably one of the figures I've taken the most pictures of recently. It's so fun to photograph. So fun to fool around and pose, and it looks absolutely epic. The sculpting detail is so good. The head sculpts, both of them, but this one especially that I have on her, is so good, man. I can't wait for the Black Series to start doing their 3D sort of printing for their faces, because this just looks awesome. It rivals imports at this point. Hasbro, in terms of their Marvel Legends, is giving the imports a run for their money at this point with some of their figures. This one is definitely one of them. You'd be hard-pressed to make an import that was better, in my opinion. And she comes with her sword, and you remove the cape and all that. Articulation's pretty good. It would have been nice to have double hinges at the elbows. But it's just such a fun figure for me. I don't know, I just had a lot of fun posing this around and photographing her and whatnot. It's just so fun. Just such a good figure. My only really big complaint is that her right leg is pretty loose, and it makes her really annoying to stand sometimes without falling over, because right now she wants to fall over because her legs don't want to keep the pose. But that's really my only major issue with this figure. Aside from that, I absolutely love it. Probably going to be on my, spoiler, going to be on my top 10 of 2017 more than likely. Even with the leg thing, just such an awesome figure. Anyways, that is number 2, and moving on to number 1. And number 1 is the Deadpool from the Juggernaut BAF wave of the X-Men figures. Maybe not the most original number 1 choice, but I love this figure. It's one of my most favorite figures that I own. It's just so good. It uses the Bucky cap mold well, but still has some new parts, such as the knee guards and the forearm armor and whatnot. Head sculpts, both of them are really great. He comes with a shit ton of accessories. He got his swords, he got his handguns, which can be stored on him, knife, which can be stored on him, the bazooka with the boxing glove, which can be stored on him if you want to, that really weird looking rifle, and then the riot shotgun, and the alternate head, and a taco. It's just so much goodness rolled into one figure. Articulation's great. You can get most of the poses you want within reason. It's just really good. If you can find them in stores, it's the best. It's the best Deadpool to go for outside of getting like Mezco's or Revoltex, or Hot Toys, I guess. But yeah, I just absolutely love this figure. Definitely my favorite Marvel Legends figure that I own, and like I said, don't own many. So, but yeah, I love this figure. Anyways, that is pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your guys' favorite Marvel Legends figures are, if you collect those, in the comments below, or do whatever. I'd be interested in knowing. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.